All right, let's find out what we can expect on this 8th day of the government shutdown with NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr. And Alice, we started out the show with some comments from Marjorie Taylor Greene, her comments on health care, breaking from the GOP base. But has the president responded to this? Is he listening to what she's saying?
Yeah, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is a really interesting test case in terms of lawmakers who are able to kind of step away from the Republican Party and still maintain pretty strong ties, at least up to this point. This is not the first time that she's kind of stepped out of line with what the party line is in general. I'm thinking about the war on Ukraine, when she said that there needed to be some more support there. Gaza as well. She's referenced the famine in Gaza. And so she has said publicly more than once that she, is here to stand for her constituents, for her beliefs, and that if that means going against what the party line is, that she's going to do that. Now, President Trump has to this point, I think, had a good degree of tolerance for that. She's also consistently maintained her support for President Trump, and they've long had a pretty strong relationship. So it'll be interesting to continue to track how she walks that line and how the president responds. And in this instance in particular, this is something that, certainly Republicans want full unity on, trying to pin the blame for the shutdown on the Democrats. So it could be a little bit trickier one, depending how far she's willing to go. Yeah. All right. Another big headline is this back pay, right? The president is floating the idea of not giving federal workers that back pay when the government reopens. But isn't the back pay protected by law? It is. There was a law passed not too long ago that guarantees that workers, federal workers who are furloughed or who work without pay during a shutdown, that they will be repaid afterward. President Trump, though, is seeming to indicate that he thinks that may not apply to furloughed workers. There's already been discussion that they want to be sure that troops, for instance, and other essential workers who are having to work without pay right now, that they get their pay back. The president said he's going to make sure military members get every single cent that they're owed. But he's suggesting that that may not apply to all furloughed workers who are home, who are not working and not being paid right now, certainly through no choice of their own. The president said it would depend on who you're talking about, and that, he's spoken about, in fact, eliminating a number of jobs during this shutdown. So this kind of seems to go into that same pot of, he said that for the most part, we're going to take care of our people, but he said that there are people that, in his words, he didn't think deserved to be taken care of, and that he said they would be taken care of in a different way, potentially suggesting those could be the same people that he might be considering on the chopping block. Yeah, I asked you this yesterday, I'm asking you again today. Is there any signs of any movement? So I think what's interesting is that there have been some internal discussions among Republicans that seem to be signaling that it's less a question of if they will address the question of these Obamacare insurance subsidies, preventing premiums from spiking, doubling in some instances. Less a question of if and a question of when. It seems to be becoming a little bit more politically apparent that that issue does need to be addressed. But whether that happens in enough time for Democrats to say we can reopen the government is still an open question. We do know, we've heard from some lawmakers like Democratic Senator Tim Kaine, that there are some discussions going on between individual members across party lines, but to this point, not between the party leadership that really gives this a green light or red light on reopening. All right, get ready. I may ask you the same question again tomorrow. Thanks a lot, Alice. Really appreciate it. I'll be here. All right.